Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Blueprint, and the idea that we're going to be presenting today is going to be multi-team depth charts. Now this is something that would be mostly used for the preseason, but would also have practical uses in the regular season as well. As I've mentioned before in some previous videos, the preseason isn't exciting, and it's likely never going to be an exciting period of your CFM, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't still be an important and useful part of your CFM. And part of making CFM a well-rounded mode is making sure that all of these parts are useful and serve a purpose, so that you don't get to a point where something is getting skipped entirely because it's pointless, which is where I feel preseason is currently at. So when we look at Madden currently, there's one depth chart that handles everything, and if you've played Madden long enough, you know that there's always been issues with the depth chart and how it's handled in preseason, and there's really no way around that. With the way it's set up, there's always going to be issues with subs, whether it be wide receivers coming in at corner, star players on special teams, or starters coming back into the game. That's just always going to be an issue when you're so limited on the options that you have within that depth chart. And the main idea here is to remedy that by having multiple depth charts to emulate the first team, second team, third team, and on down the line. To get the most out of this feature, another crucial addition would be 90-man rosters, and the reason behind that is that it would truly allow you to utilize your entire roster in the preseason without having to constantly pause and make subs during the game. Part of what makes preseason so annoying is how cumbersome it is to get the right guys, or get the guys that you want to see in the game into the game. And basically how this would work is that you'd have your first team, which was your starters, your second team, which is your backups, and then your third or fourth team, which would be made up of everyone else on your roster. And then rather than having the subs happen either automatically at the end of a quarter or at halftime, you'd be able to set before the game how many drives a team was playing before they were being subbed out. So in your first game of preseason, your first team is probably going to get 1 or 2 drives, and then your second team is going to get like 5 or 6 or so. And this is more realistic, and also, like I said, it's a lot easier for mass subs. You could also do this by position group as well, to where maybe you have a rookie QB and you want him to get him some time with the starters, so you'd be able to set your first team QB to play 1 drive before subbing out, while the rest of your offense you could set to something like 4 drives before subbing out, so your rookie gets that time with those starters as well. Doing subs by drives is also something that would work well with play the moment, rather than having to play a whole preseason game to get a look at or evaluate all of the players on your roster. You could play 1 or 2 drives with each separate team and essentially get a look at your whole roster in probably around half the time. It's just a feature that would take the preseason from being largely pointless and overly cumbersome to something far more practical and useful. By itself, it's not going to do much, but working together with other features increases its value and impact. And I mentioned before that this would also have practical use in the regular season, and that would be in the form of being able to mass sub at any time. Mass subs was something that NCAA games always had back in the day, but again, those kind of suffered from the same issues as Madden, with starters only dropping 2 or 3 spots, and you'd end up with your starting receiver in the slot, or your starting corner at nickel, or on special teams, and they'd still be in the game. Basically, this would allow you to pull all your starters and blowouts without having to go into the depth chart and individually pull them one by one, so it makes it a much easier process there. Going back to using drives played to sub as well, if you're late in the season and have already clinched or aren't playing for anything during a given week, then you would also be able to set up a situation where you could get your starters a drive or 2 and then quickly pull them out as to not risk injury. So despite this being mostly useful when it comes to the preseason, it would also have its uses elsewhere and would just be kind of a quality life thing, more so in the regular season than useful as it would be in the preseason. I think I just about covered everything I wanted to cover though. Let me know what you guys think of this idea, and if you think it would be useful to you within CFM. My next video will be a What the Franchise video, where we take a look at some sim stats, and then my next Beyond the Blueprint will be looking at player cards within CFM and how to improve those. So stay tuned for that, but for now that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.